getting, getting, multitude of calls, right? People are reaching out. They're wanting to know if they can get this guy to decommit. But he is a big guy that is just one big force here on the interior lineman. I mean, great hand placement, great get off on the ball. I mean, look at the stance and look at that trunk. I mean, look at him pulling.
Set that edge and moves his guy about 3 yards and finishes and says a little something Hey,
that's the reason why that young man's one of the most dominant offensive linemen in the state of Louisiana.
And poor number 30 there just had no chance when he sees a guy like Tylen come in his direction.
Yeah.
That big interior guard pulling your way. I know he is licking his chops when a linebacker or a secondary player has no idea that he's coming down the tracks.
I mean, I just love watching him pull. I mean, the fact that the big fella can move the way he does, and he's so vicious with ending on his blocks. I mean, those poor outside linebackers are like, wait, what? I got to take on this block, coach?
And look at that one, too. Was on his guy from the very snap and still drove him about 7 yards deep into that defensive secondary. That's a lot of the drive that when we talk with a lot of these coaches is hard to instill in a guy. Mm-hmm. You sort of have to have those tendencies at the intro level.
Oh, man. He put that kid on his knees and then put the ice skates on him. Jeez. Woo. That's like me pushing baby Jordan around in his little roller stroller.
Yeah, he just makes it look easy against some of these guys.
I mean, but that was embarrassing. I mean, he pushed that dude 5 yards on that turf.
It's impressive. Yeah. It's impressive to watch. And it's understandable why this guy, and he stays engaged the whole time.
Does. No, he does.
It's easy to see why this guy is drawing so much attraction from the schools that he has been getting the offers from. And now we start to see that net expand just a little bit more as people start to talk to each other.
Right.
And they start to find out who Tylen George really is as a player.
Exactly. Cannot wait to meet with this young man. I'm sure our executive assistant, right, Madison now. I'd say ours, really my executive assistant, best assistant ever. But we cannot wait to meet with the George family. We are now at the process where it is time to negotiate his NIL. Now it's time to start talking about what things look like at Tulane, as well as any other potential suitors, right, that may come his way. So definitely excited and cannot wait to see what the future holds for this young man.
Absolutely. And as present right now, West Monroe and the Rebels are currently 3-1 on the season. They've been playing some tough competition, and they got one key rivalry matchup coming up here in a couple weeks, and that is against the Alexandria Trojans out there in Louisiana. And I think we know a couple of guys who play for Alexandria. I think we do. And one of them is the standout wide receiver, a downright stud in the outside slot. That is, of course, Alex Fontenot.
Yes.
We love seeing this guy get some action. Big body wide receiver out of the right side is typically where they run him out of the line of scrimmage. But look at this. Has the patience and then is able to absorb the contact and maintain possession. I think what you can really gain out of these first few clips, because gets rocked there by the safety, but still holds on to the ball, what you'd want a great receiver to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's got a great route runner, great feet. And, I love the comeback. He's hard to jam off of the line of scrimmage as well, strong with the ball too. Keeps his feet moving. I mean, just really, really good route runner, and watch this. And this is where he actually gets to show the speed, right? When you're able to catch a skinny post and then turn that to a house call, right? That's why he has picked up a lot of steam in his recruitment. I mean, obviously we know he got the UNLV offer a few weeks ago, currently, getting Mississippi State, La Tech. So I wonder what La Tech's waiting on. Like, why have you not offered La Tech? I need to go talk to the coaches. It's a bye week. Maybe this is a good time for me to be like, Coach Conby, Coach Franklin, go get this kid. I mean, he's a great outside receiver, great route runner. He's a guy. And then, the dad said that he wants to go and fly planes. La Tech.
Okay.
Catch planes that I think you can fly, or they got some kind
of flight simulator.
Yeah, they got something going on. Either way, Alex is a dude.
Yes. And here's another example of that great breakaway speed too, where a lot of people talk about the drawbacks of having such length, of being such a long-bodied receiver out in those positions where you can go up and expect to get those those throws, the tricky ones that are thrown pretty deep into coverage, but being able to turn that into something, show off the speed with the size, I think benefits Alex very greatly here, especially in terms of contributing to his team, where Alexandria currently sits at 4-0, undefeated on the season, and as the 12th ranked team in Louisiana, a team that is definitely making the come up in the national ranks as well. We're very excited to see what Alex is going to be able to provide for his program and then potentially for what those D1 suitors might be looking for out of him.
Yes, exactly. It's definitely excited to see. And like you mentioned, big matchup, right?
Yeah.
And 3-1 West Monroe, 4-0 Alexandria. It's going to be a good game. And let's just say that I think there's going to be some DBs that might get torched a little bit in that. And I think there's going to be some interior D linemen as well as some potential outside linebackers once Tylen is pulling. So it's going to be a great game.
Defenses are definitely going to go through it in that match.
Yeah, they will.
Strong offenses on both sides of those. And another key offensive guy from one lineman to another, from Tylen George now to the Texas connection that we've been able to make here, was a guy that we were super excited to see joining the Protect You crew. Somebody that you were able to go out, visit personally, got the iconic picture of yourself, him, baby Jordan as well was in that picture of who is this mountain of a man that is holding me? And only at the age of 15 as well. Yeah. We're, of course, talking about none other than J Storm Knight, the lightning storm himself. Look at this. Double teamed. It says, I'm going to take my guy and just chuck him to the ground.
Exactly. Yeah, you look at him at right tackle. just mauling kids. 44. You just let him.
It just doesn't even seem fair.
He's just a massive of a man, right? Every offensive line coach that we've spoken with in the nation, they all have said the same thing. They were like, first of all, have you seen this man in person? He is a massive of a man. And these are fully grown men talking about a mere child.
Yeah.
However, J Storm Knight, he's a name. People, if you don't know who he is, go look him up, get to know him. J Storm Knight will be a household name when it's all said and done. The number one offensive lineman in the class of 2028, not only in the great state of Texas, but also in the nation. Every school wants this young man. He has been blessed to have a lot of offers come in, and he's only a sophomore.
Yes.
He's got 2 more years of high school football left before he can even, go play collegiately. But, a lot is being put on his plate, right? The fact that he is at, a historical school, right? Let's just say at Judson High School. I know they're struggling this year, but Judson has been one of the premier high schools in the city of San Antonio. And when you look at what he's doing and the way he's dominating, he can go play left tackle as well too. But the fact that he's at right, they're doing a phenomenal job with him there, and J Storm, not only is he a great football player, but most importantly, he's a great young man. Yes, sir, no, sir. Always has a genuine smile on his face. Big shout out to Mr. Jackson, right? His grandfather that has taken him all over the nation and pretty much helped J Storm get to where he is as well too. So obviously Nicole, his mom, appreciate all the love and the support that you guys have shown us and allowed us to represent him. And the future is very bright for this young man.
No doubt on that. Where I've had a couple of opportunities to talk with him one-on-one, where a big part of what we offer here at Protection United are those mock interviews, trying to get our athletes ready for when the microphone is in front of them and when the camera is rolling. And he was a guy who, from the get-go, from the moment that I opened that first question, knew what he was about. Obviously, nobody's perfect. There were a couple of things where we need to eliminate, filler words, which is a really hard thing to do, especially when you're talking about the daily speech. But he took those lessons to heart, and his family made sure that everything was seamless when we had that follow-up one. So when you talk about getting J Storm Knight, whoever gets him is getting more than just a quality player. You are getting a quality young man as well. And I can't speak highly enough of what he is going to be capable of when he does get to college, because you bet everything he is going to be there.
Yeah.
And another guy that I think also is going to join that same echelon,
he will,
especially when we're talking about what he's able to do on the special teams.
Yeah.
We're talking, of course, about big man in a little stature, Dylan Mitchell.
Hey, man, Dylan Mitchell, a.k.a. Superman, a.k.a. Mr. Autopilot. Another 2028 phenom, one of the fastest men in the nation, right? Mr. Nike himself. But look at this. I mean, look at that speed. By the way, people, this is not in fast motion. This is in normal motion. And it's against one of the premium powerhouses known around the nation in Atascocita, right? CE Kings never beat Atascocita to my knowledge. And if they have, it was decades ago. But guess what? They got the dub. And a big reason was because of Mr. Dylan Mitchell. I mean, what he is doing in the special teams games, to your point, Jake, is something that, we might not ever see. I mean, kind of, I think go back to like a Dante Hall, right? What he did at Nimitz, right? Obviously, we saw Dante in the NFL and ran a lot of punt kickoff returns for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Dylan Mitchell, not only could he be a receiver, right? He's a little bit more of in my opinion, like a Percy Harvin-ish guy. He can be in the backfield, he can play slot, but most importantly, what he can do in the special teams game is just something that can flip the field and can be just a game changer, right? For a lot of potential colleges that are after him.
No doubt on that, because this is talking too about one of the upper echelons in terms of what the greater Houston area offers as premier high school teams. CE King has emerged this season especially as one of the top flight teams, not just in the area, but in the entire state. Mm-hmm. And it's due in no small part to what he's able to contribute as that sort of Swiss Army knife scoring role of, you put me back there on punt return, you can guarantee almost a punt return touchdown per game. Because I think Superman might not be the exact one. Maybe this guy is more akin to the Flash in terms of the sheer speed that he has. When he hits that gap, you just lost him.
Yeah, look, man, he's been Superman since he was little league. So Mama, Daddy called Superman. I'm gonna call him
one heck of a rebrand.
Autopilot, all those names. I'm not making it up. They made them up. And guess what? He has owned it, right? That's some big words when you call a kid that, and then he got to stand on it. And he's definitely made, made Billy as well as Karen Mitchell proud, and both of them were superstars in their own right. Mm-hmm. Obviously Billy played at Texas A&M. Karen had a track scholarship there. And you look at just when two amazing people get together and they have kids, I mean, that is what happens, right? And we're seeing the production of that. And once again, right, Dylan, also him and Jay Storm Knight played together in Little League, and it's not by coincidence, right? Billy Mitchell was the head coach of the Southwest Marlins, and he called them the Super Friends, right? Everything was fun, but they went out, competed, and they played hard. I love what Billy instilled in all of these young men, and now we're looking to see them actually flourishing on the high school level, and they're doing it for their respective teams. And let's be real here. When we're talking about 6A football here in the state of Texas, it's hard for a sophomore to be on varsity. Let's be real. I mean, that's something that typically they're on JV. They might get, a couple of games here and there, a cup of coffee, if you will, of getting to play on a varsity night. But you usually don't get that stardom until your junior, senior year, unless you're a dude. And Dylan Mitchell is one of those dudes. So honored to be representing him, as everybody in the nation knows, right? I mean, he could have gone anywhere, right? But, honored that they chose Protection United to rep him and to help him with, the additional recruiting, right? Obviously help him build his brand as well. And cannot wait for his future, because he's got 2 more years too, Jake.
Absolutely.
I got a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of San Antonio and CE King over the next couple of years.
I think so too, because he's already proven more than enough to show that he can contend with a lot of the big dogs of the guys that are getting the D1 offers. He's already outshone a pretty good amount of them, and now he has more opportunities to continue to prove himself here, especially as CE King moves on throughout the season. They got a big matchup coming up here in a couple of weeks where they take on none other than Summer Creek, who many consider to be one of the top 10 teams in the nation out here in the Houston area. So there'll be an opportunity for him there. They play Kingwood still. North Shore is another school that they still have to go through. So a lot of opportunities for Dylan to continue to uphold the standard that he has already built for himself. And I think he's more than capable of showing that that standard is there for a reason. He's going to continue to, if anything, not just live up to it, but continue to grow it and exceed that expectation. Exactly. And we shift gears now to a segment here that you brought our attention to of one where we like to discuss how Protection United is great in terms of providing that big agency feel while still being more personable. We're not trying to go behind the backs of any of our clients, any of the people or the families, especially that we represent here at Protection United. And the news broke down from a couple of months ago, sort of around the time of the NBA draft. If you think we're talking basketball and that sounds weird, I understand that. But this is important to understand because this pertained to one of the top athletes in the NBA draft going into this season. And that was none other than Ace Bailey. The Rutgers product was in contact with and was represented by an agency that was, let's just say, doing some shady things, might have been underselling what was going on there, where his agents, not him, told certain teams inside of the top 5, especially the Utah Jazz, that if Ace Bailey was drafted by them, he would not play for them, and he did not want to play for them anyways. And so the play from the explanation that I was able to garner from the agent was that they wanted him to land on the Washington Wizards. Interesting play when you're talking about the greater landscape of the NBA, but the point being that the agency was trying to gear the teams away from their athletes so that he would end up in their preferred spot, not his. Well, as things played out, the Utah Jazz ended up drafting Ace Bailey anyways because their organization said, we're going to draft you. You're going to play for us. And so speculation started to form. Is he actually going to play for the team? Is he going to report for training? Is he going to report for Summer League? And then the ice broke and Ace Bailey just showed up and was like, yeah, I'm here. Let's get to work. There was no issue with it whatsoever. And so now, Jay, we toss to the issue of agent and client transparency. Where does that dynamic sort of fall in here? We've seen it now and how it can go wrong at the top levels. And now we need to talk about here, I feel like at least, how things can go right when you're talking about the little guys, as we might be as we come up in this greater world of sports agencies, of the agency being the through line for negotiations, not the driving force.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to kind of touch base on the fact that this was a terrible situation. Any athlete that has an opportunity to get drafted, whether it's an NBA draft, Major League Baseball, NFL, hockey, right? Obviously now with softball and volleyball having pro leagues as well, that anybody that wants to draft you, I mean, that's a blessing, first of all, right? We have seen in the past where people have tried to control the narrative. Eli Manning and the Mannings tried to control that when they told the Chargers that they weren't going to go there. And then here most recently, right, Shedeur Sanders and his camp tried to control where he was going to be drafted. But the difference with those two situations in this one is at least the athlete, the client, they were fully on board with it, right? In this situation, Ace Bailey didn't even know. He wasn't even aware that his agents were doing that, right? He shows up to Utah, like you mentioned, and then all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? Why are y'all being weird? Why are you shocked that I'm here? You drafted me, right? Thank God that he got rid of that agency, right? The article kind of concluded that. But the importance of keeping the parents involved here, and that's why we like our parents being involved here at Protection United. It doesn't matter if we're doing a collective NIL negotiation with the said college of their choice or choices, right, as they narrow down their top 5, or if we're just getting an outside endorsement deal for a simple sign meet and greet at a mom and pop location outside of the college stadium when they're on campus. We want moms and dads involved, and we feel that it's very important for said reason of what happened here, right? If we keep the parents involved, they know everything step by step. They have the opportunity to say, yes, we like this, or no, we don't like this, or we like the premise of the idea. However, we need to change it to this and change it a little bit to that. And then be a part of the negotiation, right? Of course, we handle negotiations. We'll make sure to take that off of their plates because we know what the going rates are, right, for set positions, or we also know the value of the athlete, right, whether it's for us managing their social media pages and knowing how many followers they have, understanding the value in that. And if we're going to help endorse someone's brand and their company, that we will in turn ensure that they get compensated properly because of the fact that they make a TikTok or Instagram post. We know how many eyes that's going to hit. But everything I just said, those parents are along the way, side by side. They know what's going on. And this is a clear example of the ones that don't do it. You can kind of see what happens. And this is very unfortunate situation. But sadly, Jake, it happens more than what you think.
No, I definitely think that goes understated, right? Of how some agencies like to take advantage of the situation that they're in, of trying to play. I don't necessarily know if it's hardball, but I would say just a little bit more of playing too big for some of their clients. Of let us handle this, you just go play ball. Where to an extent there is some use in that, right? Of let your client be your client, let them be who they want to be. But then there has to be the mutual shared relationship, right? There has to be some sort of shared value here of not only does it look good for you to show up and show out because that's increasing your brand recognition, that's increasing your name recognition, but now as the agency, it is our job to try and uphold you to that standard that you've just set, making sure that it doesn't go unnoticed, right? Making sure that if something big happens, everybody knows about it. And in a good way too, because agencies can very well control a narrative, making sure that things are positive, making sure that if there's a bad game, we move on and then we make sure to highlight the great game that comes to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also too, Jake, you got to earn the trust, right? And that's the thing that a lot of these guys they feel that that trust should be given instead of earned. Well, I mean, you're taking essentially the biggest asset that any parent could have, which is their kids, right? And you're trying to say, hey, you've done a phenomenal job for these first 18 years. Now just give them to me and let me take it. Well, they don't know you. A lot of them, no more than they know their mailman, right? We've been blessed here because of our select tackle football organization, right? Big shout out to Texas Pines Elite. But, we have had built relationship with a lot of these young men since they were 8, 9 years old, right? So the relationship and the trust was built. But even with that said, we still keep those parents involved in everything that we do step by step, because at the end of the day, they need to know what's going on, right? Now, they say that, hey, whatever you think and you think is best, we're fine with that, but we still go get that blessing versus assuming that it's going to be there. So,
yes, there's a lot that goes into it, but we do our very best here at Protection United to make sure that everyone comes out a winner.
Exactly.
Everybody makes sure that everybody's happy, all the way down from the GMs and the programs that are recruiting our guys down to the mom and pop that are just trying to make sure that their child ends up in the right place.
Exactly. If you want to be blessed, we're here to bless.
Absolutely. And we move now to two guys that definitely wanted to be blessed and two guys that deserve to be blessed. And we start out with a big body man out of Willis, Texas. Willis is a place that some of y'all may have started to know has produced a couple of key athletes, especially two pillar athletes here at Protection United in DJ Lagway and Jalen Mickens. And another guy that might be joining that same echelon is Javion Martin. Big man and a tight end, also defensive end for the Willis Wildcats, a guy who has liked to show off his stuff at both sides of the ball, and I think definitely deserves to have a little bit of attention on both sides of the ball.
Oh, 100%, man. That's the good thing about Willis High School. Man, if you can ball, you'll get the call from the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams, right? I mean, but Javion is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you see him going against the Woodlands High School here, great cave down block, right? I mean, just kind of getting good footage of it, right? Now he's split out, and this is the thing that I love about him is that he can play tight end. He can be that sniffer fullback position, but then he can also play, essentially receiver, right? Which creates a lot of mismatches. You even see in the NFL now, like Brock Bowers and company, a lot of these teams are putting their tight ends out because they know that you're going to either have a small DB on you, or you're going to have a outside linebacker on you where, with his feet, and look at this. I mean, I know at the end of the day, look at that. I mean, just look at the big man, hot step and rumble and jumble. That was the game-winning touchdown against the Woodlands, right, to kind of seal that deal in that game. But Javion is a young man that we are so honored, to be representing. Just getting to meet him, Jonathan Martin, his father, right? Great man. And just allowing us to come rep. He is, we've seen this, right? It's already been public knowledge. He decommitted from University of Arkansas. The Sam Pittman, right, thing was writing on the wall, right? I know that the ones that are trying to follow timelines here, like, wait, he decommitted before. So, guys, trust me, Sam Pittman was fired after the Memphis game, but they let him stay on the coach in the Notre Dame game because the bye week is this week. And it's just a lot of times when you make a transition, you want to give the new guy an extra week, right, to kind of prepare, install his schemes on both sides of the ball because they cleaned house, right? A lot of guys left from not only just the head coach, but pretty much the whole defensive staff, and I believe the offensive line coach too. So, but anyway, Javion, just the uncertainty of what's going to go on in Arkansas, wanted to open up his commitment, and then instantly, right, school started calling again that had already offered them, and now they're like back in the mix, right? So, we're looking forward to reaching out to those schools. They're going to be at University of Houston, right, on Saturday with them, right? Appreciate Wetz Fritz, general manager there at Houston, as well as the coaching staff, right? Not only coming to the game against the Woodlands, but also, wanting him to come to Houston and potentially stay home, right? So we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of schools all over the nation that really want this young man. They all want him. And that's the thing that I think that shows not only the kind of player that Javion is on the field, but also shows the high character off the field as well. Because at the end of the day, these college coaches don't want to get fired for bringing in the wrong guy. Talent, no talent. They care about their livelihood. No man wants to go home and say to his wife, hey, we got to move across the country. And she just got settled into the community. So I think it speaks high volumes of Javion when you're looking at a situation where he opens up this commitment, and yet all the schools that are offered him, all are like, yeah, we still got a spot for you, right? We still want you. So it's going to be fun as this journey, begins with Javion. Really looking forward to just seeing, right, where his journey is going to end, because this is only the beginning for this young man. And with the measurables hitting the way they hit, Jake, we could be looking at another potential guy that could be playing on Sundays as well.
I don't doubt that for a second, because he was just a freight train of a guy when he's out there and blocking, especially for the tight end position, where a lot of guys have been moved to that receiving tight end spot. He can do both. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an incredibly underrated skill in the modern age of football, where the tight end is seen more as that receiving option, but now able to show off the defensive skills as well. He had made several critical tackles during that game against the Woodlands that we were able to see firsthand, of big-time player on defense as well. He had a pick 6 in Willis's last game as well against the good people of Cleveland, but obviously, unfortunately, got called back due to a penalty, but completely unrelated to him. He's still able to get out there, make a big-time play that you don't usually see out of the defensive end position.
No, exactly.
Usually that's your strip sack, and then...
I don't know. You go look at Max Crosby for the Raiders.
True.
I mean, I'm just saying that, there's some dudes that are on that edge that are completely different.
But you say that name, Max Crosby. That is an upper echelon type of defensive end player. And Javion Martin is making the types of plays that he's making.
Exactly.
That speaks incredible volumes to what Javion is going to be when he gets to that level.
Exactly. And we all know the Woodlands, they're known for having D1 offensive linemen. You go look at the history of the Woodlands High School. It's a reason that they've won a couple of state championships. I believe they won a national championship way back in the day, but however, they still always produce talent. And to see what Javion did, getting over those offensive linemen, getting around them, he sacked Jack Dalton, the TCU QB commit, multiple times, and actually created a fumble, if you recall, that led to another touchdown for the Willis Wildcats as well in that big matchup 2 weeks ago. And got a big one coming up this week.
Yes.
Right? You got a big one coming up this week against College Park. You and I will be in the house. We'll talk about that on our podcast tomorrow, because we have another one that we get to do. But very excited to watch Javion to continue to play throughout the rest of his senior year. And, hey, when your recruitment's wide open, it's almost like it's transfer portal-ish, because all these schools just start calling. feel like we're running a Jerry Lewis telethon over here at Protection United. I mean, what we got? 5 Zooms a day.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Just talking the coaches and GMs and trying to garner more attention and see what else is out there for this young man. So excited to be repping Javion and cannot wait to see where this all unfolds.
So you talk about those Zoom calls, talking with coaches, talking with clients, and talking with parents during the onboarding process. And another guy that we brought on as well is another offensive lineman. We love our big bodies here at Protection United. Those offensive linemen starting to get the recognition they deserve, both in the NIL market and on the field as well. And we are super excited to bring on another one in the form of Randy Mills. That's just a good Texas offensive lineman name.
Yeah, it
Randy Mills out of Anderson Shiro High School, right here in the heart of Texas. Just another great guy, another big prototypical offensive lineman that you would expect to see. But I think more importantly than that as well, he's already got a lot of prestige to his name.
Yeah, no, he does, right? Man, actually was born and raised in Willis, Texas. Family went and got some land out in Anderson and, just kind of wanted to move there. So that's, where the reason why, he's there. But I mean, he's a young man that definitely has D1 talent. I mean, you look at the viciousness of the blocks, regardless of, who he's going against. Like, I mean, look, he's handling business. And that's what, any offensive line coach, wants to grade and look at in regards to, what he does. Randy has a lot of talent. I mean, very high IQ, his technical footwork, the way he turns his butt to the hole right on the run plays, and his get off. I mean, his get off is something. The way he fires off of the football is also something to really, notate in regards to, what, a college would be looking at, for him. Randy, 2026, O lineman, can play tackle, but also can slide over to the guard position, and he can play center, right? So once again, right, he might not be, from a measurable standpoint, a true tackle, but he's doing it because that's what his team has asked of him, right? And that speaks high volumes. How many kids that we've heard be like, hey, if I don't play in this position, then I'm not going to play for you, right? He's like, hey, whatever y'all need me to do. So he plays right tackle, he plays fullback, he plays D-line. I mean, they use him all over the field there. But we all know his future is either at that guard spot or at the center position. So Randy, coming in, to the fold a little late to the game. But guess what, Jake? It's not too late. And that's the thing that we love about what we can do here at Protection United, because now that we've announced him and now we're about to put the graphic out to the world, we're expecting colleges to reach out, because at the end of the day, every school in the nation, there's always one position they're looking for, Jake, and that's lineman. That is always going to be the case. You want your tackles to be bigger, want them taller, but those interior guys are exactly what you want. And based off of his measurables, I think he fits the mold to be either a center or a guard.
No, and what was really cool, too, to see was our talent scout, or associate talent scout here, Logan Mahoney. He gave us a very in-depth report on what exactly it was that made Randy as special as he was. And I think the key point that I really stuck to was the viciousness. This guy nearly almost revels in being able to just bulldoze a guy off of the line, finish that block, and drive him all the way to the ground. You don't really see that aggressive tendency fully developed in an offensive lineman until he gets to that college or maybe even pro level of, I'm going to impose my will and there is nothing you can do to stop me on the offensive line. And it shows in terms of being a now 4-time team captain for his high school, a back-to-back first-team all-district talent, 4-year varsity starter. I can't speak highly enough of what Randy has been able to do on the field. And now we'll get a chance to know him a little bit better off the field as well. Talk a little bit more about him, know and start to learn what those tendencies are and what makes him the complete package that schools are going to be looking forward to at the collegiate level.
Exactly. And, because of, the package that, they wanted to, get here at Protection United, you're going to get to see an uptick in his social media as well, right? And that is the other key to this part of the puzzle of making sure that you have social media covered, making sure that you have an opportunity to truly showcase your talents. So having that camera guy that now is going to be dedicated just on him and to help get more film out there so these colleges can see, right? I can't wait to complete his recruiting pitch deck, right? To where we also can get that out to colleges and start letting them know, like, hey, there's a young man that is essentially a big fish in a small pond. He's still a big fish.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we all like big fish. So
Yes.
cannot wait to keep working with him and truly look forward to, working with the whole family, right? With Richard, his father, right? Drawing a blank on his mom's name, Melissa, I believe. Yeah, they came here to the house and met with us, or the office, I should say, and just a great family, and cannot wait to continue helping him. And by the way, he's also a Texas Ponds Elite alum too, so throw that out there as well.
Incredibly well connected as always, Jay. As always.
Let's try, Jake.
And we've talked briefly about coaching changes at the collegiate level, and this is another part that we don't discuss too terribly lightly because these are people's careers, right? There's a lot more that goes into firing a coach because that's a family that has to change a whole lot about themselves. But a couple of guys that were in the news somewhat recently we'll start off with Dabo Swinney. Yeah. Dabo Swinney is, of course, the head coach of the Clemson Tigers, has been the representative for the ACC conference for the past, I would say, decade-ish, maybe since Jimbo Fisher left Florida State. But Clemson has really started to carry that banner for the entire conference. But now we've started to notice things are falling off just a little bit for Coach Swinney and the Tigers. This is the first time that Dabo Swinney and Clemson are 1-3 since they joined forces together, which is staggering to see. And all of this, in spite of him being one of the highest paid coaches in the college football world. And Jay, you brought my attention to this because this was something that I was only faintly familiar with, was his adverse mindset towards the opportunities and the environment of the modern NIL era.
Yeah, Jake. First of all, what Dabo has done at Clemson has been, I would say earth-shattering, right, to a degree. I mean, you're looking at a coach that, has been to 4 national championships. He's won 2, right, for Clemson. And you can't live in South Carolina and not hear about Clemson football. But the moment that things change, right, Dabo, for whatever reason, refused to change with the times, right? Dabo, Swinney, whether it was recruiting of, athletes that we represent here that chose other colleges to ones that are being recruited by them now, he is yet to still buy into the whole mindset of, wanting to have athletes being paid, right? He's has gone on record and said he's against it. I mean, even going as far as saying that the moment NCAA will, allow players to be paid is the moment that he'll stop coaching. Well, that 1-3 record is looking like he stopped coaching a little bit. And, I think my biggest gripe, though, is in this whole scenario is the fact that, as you mentioned, right, he's one of the highest paid coaches, makes $11 million a year, but yet he's against NIL, right? People have gone to his house and seen the huge complex and all the things that he has, but yet he doesn't want to allow his players to have that. And it's not even like it's his money.
Right.
Right.
And I think what's most, I don't know if damning is the right word, but the most interesting part of it all, too, is that Dabo, if you know him personally and you know what his story is, he comes from an impoverished background. Things were not great for him in the home life, and he wanted so hard to play college football that he gave up basketball scholarships to go, and as he quoted himself as saying, he wasn't a walk-on at the University of Alabama.
Right.
He was a crawl-on,
right.
is the way that he phrased it.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that coming from the background of wanting to be something at that next level, and now as a head coach saying, quote, as far as paying players, professionalizing college athletics, that's where you lose me. I'll go do something else because there's enough entitlement in the world as is. I just cannot get behind anything that was said in that, knowing where he came from as a background.
Right.
And now you, as the head coach of one of the biggest programs in the nation that you built up from a meddling nothing of a school to a national powerhouse, you have the opportunity to be the voice that you desperately needed in your collegiate era, and you're choosing not to?
Right, exactly. And then that's also, Jake, break down like the moral side of things too, because the Supreme Court gave the NCAA weeks to come up with a counter to the fact that you are making billions of dollars off of free labor. That was the argument that the players and their representatives presented to the Supreme Court when they were fighting for, they should be compensated for being on the team. Because, Jake, let's be real. When we go to a football game, okay, if you want premier seats, right, that's going to be a lot of money, right? So let's say you and I are going to a game together. Our tickets are going to be at least $150 each. Okay, so that's $300 right out the gate. We're going to eat food there, right? Maybe indulge in a few adult beverages. There's also going to be parking. There's travel. There's a lot of expense that goes into getting to a game. We're not going to watch that for the school president or the athletic director, right? We're going to watch the guys that are performing on the field. And the fact that NCAA nor the college coaches could even present an argument of a counter argument, I should say, of why it's not considered them making all that money off free labor. I don't understand why these few coaches are still trying to hang on to these old school methods of, well, you got a scholarship, so that should be enough for a payment to you, right? When they're making boatloads of money.
And what was very interesting, too, in a move that happened right before we went live last week, was the noted dismissal of Mike Gundy, who had been the leader of Oklahoma State for going on dang near 20 years.
Yeah.
He was a part of that program as long as I can remember back.
Yeah.
And what was really disheartening to see, too, was his similar ineptness in terms of adapting to the NIL era, or more so accepting what the NIL era could offer to Oklahoma State, where you're talking about a massive donor base inside of that Cowboy alumni. Boone Pickens is one of the wealthiest oil barons in the entire country. You're thinking that that can't get you money and get you benefits to where Oklahoma State, with the departure of Oklahoma and Texas, could have dominated the Big 12 for a length of time that likely could have foreseen a potential expansion, could have survived potential expansion. Oklahoma State would have had to have been the team that everyone contended with if they adopted a more welcoming mentality towards what NIL could offer. But now you're starting to see the other programs in the conference are taking over. Texas Tech, I think, is one of the most shining examples of NIL across the board. We've seen it highlighted with their softball team and what they were able to do, bringing in talent, contending for a College World Series. And now you're starting to see as well that Joey McGuire, their head football coach, is embracing it full on. They built a dang oil derrick outside of the stadium saying, we know what this is about.
Yeah.
Y'all criticize us for NIL, but now we have a solid chance here to run a weekend Big 12 and make it our conference.
Right. No, 100%. And, it's unfortunate that, what Gundy, did, right? Because he always took the stance of that he was always defending and fighting for his athletes, right? I think we're going to potentially get to see maybe a reminder of that here in a little bit, right? Of him fighting for his guys. But the fact that he didn't want to fight for him on that side of it, right? And you look at the record, and then you look at the lopsided scores, right? I mean, when they played Oregon, a school that is 100% for NIL, just maul Oklahoma State. I believe it was like 69-3. But then Oklahoma State turns around and loses another bad game. I can't remember who their opponent was, but it was a game that in normal cases, it's a money game, and they go take care of business, and, that they end up getting, I believe mollywopped by a school that they shouldn't have, because of the fact that you got to go get those guys in order to win. I know you got it pulled up now, but you have to have the right guys in order to win, in order to compete. And once again, you're in a conference that literally is telling you, look, you got $20 million, $16 million for football, right? $16 million to spend every year for your athletes if you want to. So why are they just wanting to sit on that money? It's just confusing to me when it's coming from the TV contracts, right? It's coming from the other revenue that's generated just in the athletic program. It's not taken away from, academics. It's not taken away to where it's like, we kind of need a new library, but then we also got to go pay this quarterback. Like, this money is earmarked 100% for football. So just confusing to me.
Yeah, and it was interesting too because a couple of statistics here of Oklahoma State spent just $7 million on their roster last year, which is $13 million less than what Ohio State was able to do in terms of their national championship team. And even that was considered somewhat underspending for your roster in terms of bringing in new talent. So if Ohio State was considered underspending and still won a national championship, what are you doing at Oklahoma State that you're not able to make that succeed?
Right.
And then a week before the 2024 opener, Coach Gundy complained about players asking for more money just before the season. And he said, quote, "Tell your agent to quit calling us. It's non-negotiable now." So it's just, it's hard to try and work in that type of an environment. And it's hard for, especially from the agent perspective, to try and advocate for our guys to want to be a part of that, because now your coach isn't necessarily holding your best interests in mind by giving you the equivalent value that you're worth. That some other school might say, hey, we'll pay you double what they're offering you at Oklahoma State just to be a part of what was a sort of middle of the pack program.
Yeah, exactly. And then before we transition, can you pull up that score? Did you see who they were playing? I know you.
Yes, it was Tulsa.
Tulsa. Yeah.
They lost to Tulsa for the first time in, I think it was dang near a century.
Wow.
That they had lost to Tulsa in Stillwater.
Yeah, of course it was in Stillwater. It was a money game.
And so, yes, you go from just, you beat UT Martin in week one, whoop-de-doo, what you were expected to do. Turn around, get destroyed by Oregon, turn around, lose to Tulsa, and then you lose to Baylor. All of that game happened on this most recent Saturday after his firing, but it seems like you could have set things up to be better.
I agree.
Even after you're relieved of your duties, you could have still set things up for your interim guys to have that opportunity.
Exactly. Well,
but
well,
unfortunately, it's not the case.
Yeah, and he's got some keep fighting it all they want. It's not going to change.
No.
Right? So either you get with the times or you're going to get run out of coaching college football.
Yes, it is unfortunate, but he did, during his time at Oklahoma State, provide us with some very memorable moments. He did provide us with, and not just us, but the Oklahoma State program with a long-tenured coaching experience. He is the most successful coach in the history of Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Agreed.
In terms of what he was able to produce, in terms of talent, in terms of bowl wins, national recognition, a couple of times where they almost snuck into some national championships and some playoff games.
Yeah.
But I think what I most remember him for, and what a lot of people might remember him for, was giving us one of the most iconic moments in press conference history, where, in the greater context of what he's talking about, I absolutely agree with him in terms of defending his guys from predatory journalists trying to write things and turn narratives against both him and his team. But the way in which he gets it across might be one of the greatest things ever to be filmed. And that is, of course, his infamous "I'm a man, I'm 40" press conference meltdown, brought to us here by ESPN College Football on YouTube. Computer Jesus, if we can roll that first clip here with the audio as God intended.
This article, I don't read it. This was brought to me by a mother of children. I think this is worth reading. Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. And this article embarrasses me to be involved with athletics tremendously. And that article had to have been written by a person that doesn't have a child and has never had a child that's had their heart broken and come home upset and had to deal with the child when he is upset and kick a person when he's down. Here's all that kid did. He goes to class. He's respectful to the media. He's respectful to the public. And he's a good kid. And he's not a professional athlete. And he doesn't deserve to be kicked when he's down. If you have a child someday, you'll understand how it feels. But you obviously don't have a child. I do. If your child goes down the street and somebody makes fun of him because he dropped a pass in a pickup game, or says he's fat, and he comes home crying to his mom, you'd understand. But you haven't had that. But someday you will. And when your child comes home, you'll understand. If you want to go after an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday. And you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight. And I hope someday you have a child and somebody downgrades them and belittles them, and you have to look them in the eye and say, you know what? It's okay. They're supposed to be mature adults, but they're really not. Who's the kid here? Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? And that's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
Iconic meltdown. Iconic quotes. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Bro, I like the clean cut Gundy on that.
Pre-mullet Gundy.
Man, but pulling up the newspaper and the way he was looking in the audience, it's like them dudes were there.
Yes. He knew exactly who he was talking to when he was the finger pointing, the gesturing.
Say we ain't playing because he's scared. We had to play the other guy because he was going to transfer.
Because that's not true. The article is garbage, and the editor that let it out is garbage.
Hey, shout out to Coach Gundy. That's the guy that I was expecting to fight for his guys in regards to the NIL, not go the other way. But hey, at least we can always say that he is one guy that is on that Mount Rushmore of coaches press conference breakdowns.
Yes, one of the all-time greats.
Yes,
one of the all-time greats there. That clip obviously brought to us by the ESPN College Football YouTube channel. And we had this brief discussion of what do we think are the best meltdowns in terms of expanding outside of college football, but the best and the most iconic press conference meltdowns that we've seen from coaches in the past. Mike Gundy was one of the easiest pulls. We knew immediately had to throw I'm a man, I'm 40 on that list. And one that you brought up and one that I knew about and was excited to see in here as well is brought to us by Dennis Green. If y'all remember back to the late 90s, to that mid 2000s era of the NFL, former Vikings coach, but here we catch him while he is the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, where after a loss to the Chicago Bears.
And let me tell you this, Computer Jesus, if you can get the widescreen of Jake and I together. We had a situation where I would never forget this game because in fantasy, Matt Leinart was a quarterback for the Cardinals. Yes. He was lighting the Bears up at halftime. One of our fantasy league members puts in a request to pick up Matt Leinart because we have a more open, league where there's no waiver wire. You put a request on the board, the kid is yours, right? First come, first serve. He gets Matt Leinart. And then after the end of the game, he turns around and drops the person that he just picked up. So you wasted $10 because of the meltdown in the second half when the Bears came back to win the game.
And so it gives a little bit of fuel to the fire in terms of what Coach Green then went on to say during the post-game press conference. As Computer Jesus, could you please pull up the immortal Dennis
4 picks against Grossman and 2 fumbles. What do you see about the Bears? Would shut them down that way?
No, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Thanks, Coach.
Just storms off. Says Matt, and then the poor guy that has to come in afterwards, Matt Leinart will be up next to speak to the press. After Dennis Green slaps the podium, jars the mic loose, and hits us with a couple of really good quotes out of that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you want to crown their ass, crown their ass.
If you want to crown them, crown their ass.
Oh,
and
man.
they are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
And we let them off the hook.
Hey, but he let them know. You want to crown them, crown their ass. We've seen that in movies. We've heard that all over. People have taken that one line and have run with it, right? Shout out to the non-HD.
Yes,
right?
that was pre-HD.
Pre-HD.
Pre-HD, still analog television. Man,
yeah, that was bad. That's when those guys were holding those big, heavy cameras.
Yes.
Where you had to go make sure you do shoulder press, right, in the weight room. You know, now technology's come a long way, Jay.
That it has. In a very good way, too.
Oh, yeah.
Making things very convenient where we could set up an entire studio in this type of a space.
Exactly. Right.
Where we don't have to have all of those big heavy cameras inside of the big media rooms where they host a lot of those post-game conferences.
You got people watching the game, watching us on TV and the box TVs that way more than a freaking bed and a couch.
Where you had to have 3 to 5 of your best friends come in just to try and lug it into the...
Yeah.
Man,
those box TVs.
Man, those were the days. And that was your true sign of wealth, too. If you had one of those big TVs, you knew you were somebody.
Back in the day, the lighter the TV, the poorer you were.
Yes.
Now it's the opposite.
We've gone in reverse.
We've gone reverse. I love that. Anyway, Dennis Green. Yes, that was an all-time. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Yes, and a sleeper pick here that I think also deserves to be on here, because if you know this clip, you certainly know this one, and it's one that is maybe just a little bit less quotable, but I think just as funny as any other on this list, because coming from David Bennett is the name of the coach in this clip here. So you may think, who the heck is David Bennett? But when I mention Coastal Carolina football,
there it is.
You're going to start to know who we're talking about here.
Even Computer Jesus was like, what? Who's this guy?
David Bennett. But hey, trust me, when you see this clip and you see just this first frame, you know who we're talking about.
This is one where it could have been the last clip for me. But I know we got one more that when you reminded me of that one, I was like, oh yeah. But this is definitely in the right spot. Sitting in at number 4?
Yeah.
Right? No, 3. Excuse me.
Sitting number 3. But if we had to rank all of these, I think this is sleeper for number 4 all time.
Yeah, but 3 for sure. I don't know. No, I think you did it right.
Okay.
When you brought up the 4th one, nobody could argue what we're going to be showing after this. However, sitting in at number 3, Coastal Carolina, gotta be a dog.
Gotta be a
Computer
dog.
Jesus, roll the clip.
Trying to get our 2 boys ready to carry them to golf tournament before practice, right? 12 cats live across the road. Our door's open. Screen's broke. We need to get a new screen door, but the screen's broke, so you can come in through the screen, but you can't get back out of it. I turn and look. There's a little kitty cat in our kitchen. So I said, "What are you doing in here, little kitty cat?" By that time, tries to get back out. That screen won't go that way. Cat starts going meow, all crazy. And I told our players, we need more dogs. Bo's barking in the back. I have to go shut Bo up. Mel's like, what's going on? I said, there's a cat in the house. Cat in the house? I said, yeah, there's a cat in the house. So I told our players, I tried to let it out the front door. Meow, meow, the cat's still going crazy in there. And I told our players, you need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here. Meow, looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
We need more dogs. We need more dogs.
I just love the detail that he gives, right? He talks about Bo barking in the back. Mel, his wife, is asking what's going on. He's got to explain to Mel the cat can't get out because the screen door don't go both ways. Like, you told all that just to say that you don't want your guys to be in the mirror worrying about their wristband. Like, you want them to be more worried about the game than how they look in the mirror. But what a great analogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for speaking on the man that loves to give analogies, like that is a very good one.
That's a good one.
And you got to be a dog. But I like when he was like, hey there, little kitty cat.
What are you doing in here? He's got the southern drawl. Everything about that was just right.
Perfect dude for Coach. I guarantee doing this interview with Coastal Carolina, everybody in the room just closed their eyes and listened to his voice and was like, you're the dude.
Yes.
And he had to tell the story about the kitty cat.
There's a cat in the house, cat in the house, there's a cat in the house.
Man, oh no, back there barking.
I gotta shut Bo up.
Oh man.
But that one brought to us.
Dog.
We need more dogs. Be a dog.
Man.
Be a dog. May have been the antithesis and that creating point of be a dog.
Yeah.
Of what being a dog is like.
Yeah.
And it came from one of the greatest press conference ramblings we have ever seen. From, of course, the undercredited David Bennett.
100%. 100%. I agree with you on the sleeper because I got a feeling that a lot of people probably hadn't even seen that. Because that one wasn't an NFL coach. I think Gundy's went viral, and I remember SportsCenter covering that. The Coastal Carolina one kind of reached it, but once again, Gundy's on the big boy level. Then you had Dennis Green being an NFL coach. So this did fly underneath the radar. So I hope all the fans at home, y'all are happy that we showed y'all this.
Yes.
We brought this to your life.
Yes.
But there's one more.
Yes, and that one comes to us via WPDE ABC 15 for posting that one. And our last one here, forever immortal, more than likely the clip that people go to when they think of press conference meltdowns. We are, of course, talking about none other than Jim Mora asking the question of playoffs.
Man. We thought Allen Iverson talking
about practice.
Practice, no.
Jim Mora asking.
This by far is the best one. I don't even think it's close.
I don't think so either.
I don't think there's a better clip of a coach having a press conference meltdown than Jim Mora.
Jim Mora, dear Jesus, please.
Well, I'll start off by saying this. Do not blame that game on the defense, okay? I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't going to beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. You can't turn the ball over 5 times like that. Holy crap. I don't know who the hell we think we are when we do something like that. Unbelievable. 5 turnovers. One of them, we've thrown 4 interceptions for touchdowns this year. That might be an NFL record. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
I like that. Before he even launches into the playoffs, you talking about playoffs? I like I'm going to give you a second to think about what you just said. What's that?
Yeah. It was like a long pause blink. And he said, what's that? I'm like, hold up, man. I want to make sure before I blast you now. I just blasted my team. But before I blast you, I want to make sure that I heard you correctly. Yeah, boy said playoffs. You kidding me?
You talking about playoffs?
I'm just trying to win a game.
I said we're going to win a freaking game. Forever immortal Jim Mora.
But also, big shout out. huge shout out to the one person that nobody's probably ever talked about, and I'm going to give this man credit now. The person that asked the question in the audience.
Yeah.
You literally teed that up to make the best ever coaches press conference meltdown in the history. Because why would you? This dude is just lost the game. Peyton Manning just threw like, I think 4 or 5 picks. I think they're sitting at like 1-3 at that point. And this dude comes out and asks about, Coach, how do you feel about making the playoffs? And then he said, what's that?
What?
And then this dude had the balls to
And
say,
he said,
ask it again.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Coach. Let me speak up a little louder.
What are your chances of what do you think our chances are of making the playoffs? Playoffs? You kidding me?
He said it twice. He looked at him like he gave him the stank face.
The playoffs?
Man.
He had to collect himself before
Bro.
launching into that. Man. Just the all-time great.
Yeah.
The all-time greatest.
Look, so big shout out to whoever that reporter was. You never gotten credit. Well, guess what? You've now gotten credit on the Protect You podcast, sir.
Hey, it's got to start somewhere. Maybe we start the ball rolling. We find out exactly who it was that asked that immortal question that gave us.
Who was
Who was that?
Tim Bragg of WRTV.
Tim Bragg of WRTV. Hey,
Tim.
that's computer Jesus for you. He's on top of it.
On top of it. Timmy,
Tim,
good work.
good
bro.
on you. Good on you.
He probably should write a book about when I've asked dumbass questions and gotten answers like that.
Yes. It was, and the whole time he created.
I mean, that's the wrong
best
time to ask
He
that.
created the best one of all time.
He teed it up.
Yes, but question I'd like to throw out there to the audience. You know, we've thrown 3 pretty solid contenders for what we think the greatest all-time press conference
4,
meltdowns
right?
are. Yeah, 4. That's correct.
4,
4. 4 of the all-time greats. What are your thoughts? What do you think are some of the greatest post-game meltdowns or press conference meltdowns of all time?
Or help us rank ours.
Or help us rank ours too. Because there were a couple that we thought about that might have been thrown on the list. One that I thought of was the put that in your pipe and smoke it. I forget exactly who that was. I think it was a baseball coach.
Wow.
Where he said something and he gave a heater of a quote of the put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Okay.
As I think one of the best rebuttals to any reporter I've ever heard.
Of course, Herm Edwards, right? Herm
Yes.
Edwards also made the honorable mention list.
Yes.
When he's like, you play to win the game, and
hello.
Yeah.
You play
Yeah.
to win the game.
I will say we go with a player, like a Russell Westbrook. He has given a lot. Some we can't even show.
The what?
Yeah.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah. So
That's a great one.
there has been a lot of great press conference interviews / meltdowns. I mean, LeBron James in the finals when he picked up his purse.
Yes.
And just walked out. Not a lot of words there, but just the way he walked, that became a meme.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I would love for the fans to go on YouTube, write comments on there, right? Maybe we can do a poll, Jake, or something on Instagram.
Hey, there might be a follow-up segment. We look at some of the best comments and some of the best suggestions that we got from the comment section on the YouTube channel here at Protection United, because we like that engagement and we like to see what your thoughts on it are as well. Our thoughts aren't the only thing that matters here, but we thought we delivered some heaters, but maybe you got some sleepers that you'd like to show out on the list.
There it is, yeah. And we'll give y'all credit if you make the list.
Absolutely, man. But that does it for this jam-packed and excellent episode.
Hold on.
Oh, hold on. Computer Jesus got some news for us.
Okay, so 2023 Denver Nuggets coach Michael Malone said, "Put that in your smoke and smoke it."
Okay. I'm thinking of an older one.
No, but he's right, because it was Malone, because I believe that everybody picked the Lakers to win in the playoffs and they beat them, and he was talking that Cash Money ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
That's a good pull.
Because he
Also,
was. Go ahead.
In 1980, the camera would have weighed 24 to 80 pounds.
Okay. So they were lucky.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Say that again.
In the 1980s, those broadcast cameras would have weighed anywhere between 24 to 80 pounds.
80 pounds.
They would have put that one on a tripod.
Oh. No, your traps are burning after holding that camera. 80 pounds.
Man.
Just to bring it into not high definition.
Still using tapes.
Oh
man, what a time that must have been.
Oh.
What a time that must have been.
Imagine trying to keep it and turning and running down the sideline to get the perfect clip.
All that just to get, if you don't have your head on the swivel, you get bowled over by some guy, and now your 80-pound piece of equipment goes flying off your shoulder and injures some poor sound guy doing it next to you.
Exactly. And now the sound guy's in concussion protocol. That's a lot. That's a lot.
But how far things have come, how far we have come. And so.
Oh, wait, he's got another
We got another one?
Yeah, and the Mike Gundy,
okay.
I'm 40. The whole reason he had the outburst is because the guy who wrote the article was in the audience.
Okay. So he called him out personally.
Okay.
That's why he was talking to him.
Okay.
Shout out to Mike Gundy, standing on business, calling the guy out right then and there.
I like that. The Computer Jesus tidbits. I like that, man. Helping kind of bring more closure to the show and kind of let people know, yes, this is what we were thinking. We thought the guy was in the room. Appreciate that confirmation. Cannot believe he looked up 80 pounds for a daggone camera. I would never be a cameraman.
Jeez,
and
man.
The OSU Tulsa game?
Yes.
74 years.
Wow. Okay. So it was.
26
so almost
away.
there. Almost
26 years away. Aren't you 26?
Nope.
What are you?
24.
24?
Yep.
Jesus, you're young.
I could barely remember a time. I think I barely made the cut for that. I'm a man. I'm 40 interview. I think I barely made the cut on that one.
Barely made the cut.
But a good couple of check the tape moments here from our guy, Computer Jesus, helping us out here at the Protect You podcast, making sure things not only go smoothly, but they go correctly as well. But that was a great episode, Jay.
Fine.
Jam-packed, got a lot of stuff in here, some serious topics and then some not so serious topics, but always a healthy mix here at Studio Triple J and the Protect You podcast. But that does it for this episode. A special thanks goes out to the many great family members that helped us gather some of the footage that kicked off our ball and get the call segment, as well as we're hoping some of the engagement that will come as this episode continues through the internet. Yes. So that does it for this episode. Jake Wilson, as always, alongside Jay Mickens, our excellent producer, Computer Jesus, Justin Woods, helping us out. And we hope to catch you all on the next one. See you around.